right, man. So we got some pretty interesting topics today. You know, which as a change of pace, I'm taking the lead on the first one we got here. So the first one we got is the Telegram CEO, Pat. I might mess it up a little bit. Pavel Durov. I think I got that last name right. Has been arrested in France in light of an investigation into allowing possible criminal activity on his platform named Telegram. Just kind of getting into it a little bit, bro. What's your first thoughts on this possible situation? What's your first thoughts here?
Man, what did Pavel do, bro? I mean, he is Russian, so with everything that's going on,
What didn't he do
they
is the
might have
question.
said, hey, my boy, we like you, but we needed a Russian guy with a big name to, get up out of it. Send a message to the Kremlin.
It's one way to do it. Let's take some random guy. You know,
He's not a random
let's
guy,
take
bro.
some random guy. He's a CEO from Russia. Let's get him. No, no. But to be fair though, so with this situation, I don't know if you guys are aware, but Telegram is a platform where you can share like private chats. They're securely encrypted, and the premise of Telegram was to create it for secure encryption of messages. So with that being said, a lot of material that's up there, obviously, it's not, some of it's for nefarious reasons or not used for the best reasons. A great example, which I find very interesting and just found out, was that, in light of the Russian Ukraine war, Telegram was one of the most used platforms for both sides to spread one propaganda and misleading information, along with graphical or graphic content. So I'm pretty sure they're probably trying to book them for something like that as well. Probably like on some almost like, I don't know, war propaganda crime or something along those lines, most likely. But like you're saying too, could be also sending a message to the criminal like, "Yo, we got one of your boys. What you gonna do?"
Absolutely. I hear that story, but uh, I just want to ask you a question,
Mm.
which is, what side do you fall on? Because I'm sure he had genuine intentions starting it. Where
Yeah.
a lot of companies and platforms do preach, free speech, this, that, and the third, but there's always a line drawn.
Mhm.
And for all the ones that we have here, your social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, the line is drawn in different places.
Yeah, everyone has like
So
that, metaphorical line in the sand. But I think with Telegram, they were going to the fullest extent. Like, if we're gonna preach free speech, then we're gonna let almost any and everything fly. Which, I mean, again, we're seeing like live leak equivalent material on Telegram or can be sent to you. I don't know. In my opinion, like if I'm in the camp of free speech, which I do endorse and support,
mhm.
you got to take the good with the bad, which is, that might be controversial, but if you're going to tote free speech, you can't be like, oh, the minute that something negative is up here, we have to, censor free speech.
I hear your point, but that ties back to the question I was about to ask, which is, do you feel as though for him as an entrepreneur, he was wrong in a sense in the beginning of saying, I want to make this free and open for anybody, no matter what, no matter what? Or would you say he should have been more wary of where that could have gone and put things in place to prevent things from going the way that they are? So by proxy, are the charges valid, since you could make a case that he's responsible, not because he did these things, but because he didn't prevent them?
Yeah, I hear you. Um, I guess, but I don't think he was complacent because it wasn't created to be this platform where it was used, for ill intent. That's what any platform. No one creates it
Not
going
at
into it
all.
like
But
this is
there
going to
was
be
no
used.
like TOS or code of conduct.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. But also, you got to remember, he's Russian. It was created in Russia, so a lot of the things are already censored. So for I think, especially for him, it was more like I'm creating this platform to do the polar opposite of like lack of censorship, and this is going to be, free speech because Russia, there's not much of that.
True. Okay. So would you say he should be held responsible for any criminal activities or wrongdoing on the app?
Nah, I
Because
personally no, I don't think so.
okay.
I don't know, that's a hard one. That's like, I mean, if we're going with that, because he didn't have TOS, protocols and all those different things, I guess you make that point like, oh, well, he really wasn't, looking out for the company or himself, because usually companies put a TOS system in there. Hey, you
Mhm.
shouldn't post these things so they don't get sued. But for him, it wasn't. I don't know. I don't think he should though, because bro, any platform can be used for nefarious reasons.
True, but like the stuff that people get away with on Telegram, it's not sliding on the most
Yeah, yeah,
freest of platforms. You
that's
know,
true.
like you
But
even
then, is
Twitter,
it
which
really
I
is it
guess you'd
really
say
free speech?
not at all. But I think, like I said, I think it depends on where the line is drawn. So, like a
That's it.
lot of
I think.
platforms, they won't accept
Yeah.
anything that's too illegal or too immoral. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, I agree. I
And
agree.
the
I
line
think for
is
me
drawn in
though,
different places. You go ahead.
I think it's the degree of uh, like totality. I think is really where you kind of go with it. Because if you're saying freedom of speech, that's any and everything. That's speech in general. Obviously, like YouTube and those other platforms, they have to factor in what's our prime demographic, and everyone uses it, kids included. So you have to have a degree of restraint. But if he was marketing this as like encrypted chat service and that was it, like that was it.
No, absolutely. And I think the biggest issue is the fact that, like, when things would happen and say, I don't know, there was a shooting or a bombing, and you find out that the culprits were going back and forth on platforms like Telegram.
Mm.
And then the government sends over that subpoena saying, hey, we need all the chat logs. And Telegram says, we can't do that. Or even worse, we don't have it. you know,
Yeah.
once it's
Yes.
sent, it's sent. That's not for our purview.
Right. That's where it gets real sticky, and it gets back to the point
Yeah.
of this is immoral, this is bad, you know, and we want to hold you guys at fault.
Yeah,
But
for sure. But I know, like, for all the common socials that we use over here, once that warrant or subpoena comes down, they hand everything over.
yeah, yeah, very true.
You know, so
Or
I
they'll,
definitely think it's yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just adding to that point. If they don't, at the very least, still like give some private information.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's funny to see how some companies and some brands are treated versus others. Because I think the fact that the man is Russian does also play a part.
Yeah,
And apparently he's been over there for a while because he knew the type of backlash he had coming his way. And for some reason, I guess he thought he'd be okay to go to France, but as soon as he touched down in his PJ, they scooped him up. So
damn,
so unfortunate,
it is
but
unfortunate.
I'm definitely interested on seeing where this goes going forward.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, since this is being prosecuted by France and he's not a US citizen by no means, he's Russian. It's interesting to see how the European system decides to go about it. Because I think you said the man's facing what? How many years? Like 20?
yeah, yeah. He's up there.
Yeah, he's
It's
facing like
20,
20 years
20
on
years.
terrorist charges and 1,000 other things. And all he did was create a software.
That's it. But
And
we'll
so
see how this plays. I think
I'm
too,
definitely
it'll
interested.
set a precedent for a lot of upcoming companies that want to, uphold that freedom of speech.
Absolutely. Or even the ones we have now that we're thinking about loosening some of those restrictions that they have.
Yeah, yeah,
But I definitely agree that the outcome of this will for sure set a precedent.
for sure.